And joining us now, very dear friend of the show. He's been on before, and it's a no-brainer when it's Bears week that he comes on. He is a longtime Las Vegas radio host and a lifelong Chicago Bears fan. And, anything else you want to talk sports, he's got you. Anything beard, beer, or food-related.
Bitches.
Guy that we go to.
Get the three B's.
But we'll do with the Bear. Triple B's.
Blunts.
Big Mac.
Just saying,
Ryan
I'm in a legal
McKinnell.
state. You're in a legal state. We're on a legal state.
We're all good.
Legalize it everywhere. We're getting there.
Montana's
when Montana has medical marijuana, I think they went rec. Montana. And I mean, it's kind of like an independent state, but I'm just saying a lot of cowboys up there, a lot of, white folks. And
Cowboys love their weed, man.
How are you going to catch anybody in Montana?
Weird. It breaks stereotypes.
You can't catch anybody up there.
Yeah, it's like you just grow it in your backyard. Your neighbor's 100 miles away. Like, who's going to stop you?
Escape via horse if any of the cops try to chase you. Yeah, exactly. Cowboys and marijuana go together like cowboys and cocaine. That's a terrible. I got nothing.
And it's and every county sheriff is like your cousin. You know what I mean? It's like the law is different around there. So
everybody's your cousin.
He's going to stop me from growing and smoking some ganj.
Yes.
It started off rough for us Raider fans, and it got even worse for the Bears fans. I mean, it's been brutal this season, dude. And I remember how happy you were last season. Like, all right, we lost, whatever, but we have our quarterback. And we have the number 1 overall pick. Things are looking up in Chicago. Bear Nation's happy. And I don't know if the rebuild takes another year. Maybe you need a first and second round pick this season to turn things around. I don't know. How are you feeling?
How am I feeling? That's just, you're such a dick for setting it up that way.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how
else to start it. Hey, remember that one time you guys won?
Remember that time your parents died in a plane crash? That was really traumatic, wasn't
that
it?
Fiery incident?
They didn't. Half of my parents are alive. But
parents are alive, but only half their bodies.
Yeah.
One arm and one leg of each parent.
They fused them together, and now they're like Master Blaster. Listen, it's horrible, bro. It's god awful because it's not just last year to this year, right? Which you do remind me of that, and I probably said that because I felt that way. And now I know how I feel now.
I mean, genuinely, like you're in week 13, right? You're not making the playoffs. He's
rushing everywhere. Justin,
you're not making the playoffs. Yeah. Let's get the number one overall. Get a king's ransom for it, which you did. Mm-hmm. You had huge faith in Justin Fields. A lot of Bears fans did.
DJ Moore.
DJ.
Cole Kmet coming into his own. Good offensive line. Good running game. Questionable defense. Whatever.
You're like, okay,
everything.
There's plenty of stuff to build on.
Yeah.
And Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah.
That's the disease. That was what started the problems.
Yeah.
Patient zero. It was everything was going up.
The proverbial well.
Yeah. You got to get a melon ball.
He jumped out of the Wuhan lab into Chicago and destroyed the Bears.
Yeah. No. It's all of those things, right? And it's Mitch Trubisky, and it's Jay Cutler, and it's Cade McNown. It's just and I don't remember 1985, man. I was 2 years old. I'm 40 now. This is fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Sorry. I think we can cuss. I feel like we can cuss.
Where, Jar?
We can't. You can. We have a swear jar.
All right. I'm a bad boy. I've been banned on Call of Duty. I'm on a Call of Duty chat ban right now for like 6 weeks, man. Apparently you can't say fuck your mother or suck my dick. Apparently you can't say that stuff anymore. I don't know when that became like offensive.
Are you playing anymore? I'm not going to say. Are you playing in China?
Yeah.
Are you playing in a communist regime?
Yeah.
What's the point of doing Call of Duty if you can't say the absolute worst possible things to strangers?
No, hold on. Absolute worst would be hate speech. I'm not I don't hate people. I just an occasional fuck your mother is well deserved in the confines of a Call of Duty lobby. Anyway, It's beside the point, right? Like I'm relatively okay. But when we talk about the Bears, I become unokay. I become not well. I become mentally ill, right? This is a stupid hat. I'm only wearing it to take the shine off the camera. It makes me angry just seeing
the shine's already off the Bears.
It makes me angry that I keep believing in this team year after 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 year and finding reasons, right, to believe in them. Oh, well, their running game is this, and they got Lance Briggs and Charles Tillman and Brian Urlacher, and they made the NFC Championship. Well, then Lovie Smith turns around and has a 10-6 season, and they fire him off of it. And that's the real curse. It wasn't Alex Leatherwood. It was saying goodbye to Lovie Smith when you are a shit organization. And he just had a 10-6 season, a Super Bowl, and an NFC championship, and you said goodbye. The Bears have been struggling, floundering, barely above water that entire time. And they've shown glimpses, they've shown hope and whatever, but then it just when you just it's that old Godfather 3.
You've had you've had enough playoff appearances and some. How many playoff wins have you had since the Super Bowl? I mean, you've had multiple seasons where you got some depth, right?
We had the double doink against Philly that ended our season a few years ago. That was the most recent, and then there was the BJ Raji hula dance in the NFC Championship.
Yeah,
I mean, to get to the
NFC you're talking to Raiders fans, so
yeah, no, it's horrible. Like this meeting,
fans.
I mean, that's what it's been like, right? Like, oh, the Bears and the Broncos. Oh my God, who's going to watch that? Bears and the Commanders. Oh my God, who's going to watch that? Now we get to meet the West and the Midwest come together for an absolute shit show. Both of these franchises are god awful.
Which is so unique because they're such storied franchises that you would assume a storied franchise means a stable franchise. Like stable franchises have off years, like the Steelers, right? They're like, oh, Tomlin never had a losing season, blah blah blah, right? It's like, okay,
Patriots,
right? I mean, now, right, the exception to the rule. But when you think of like a storied franchise, you think, okay, a well-run organization, maybe they have to rebuild every now and then, but generally consistent because it's a storied franchise. Raiders and Bears just spit in the face of that. Like one of the most storied teams in the AFC, one of the most storied teams in the NFC, and it's just been decades of ineptitude.
And it's a leadership problem on both accounts. I think when you talk about the Raiders, it's it's very similar. It's ownership, right? It's a lack of, in the case of the Bears, to spend money and truly invest in the right pieces, right? Moving the chessboard around far too frequently. They did it with Cutler having like 5 offensive coordinators. They're doing the same thing with Fields. They continue to do the same thing. Like you cannot have here's the thing with specifically the Bears. Now the Raiders have their own set of problems. I live in Las Vegas. I've been here 17 years. I covered the birth of the team and I still, quasi cover them today. It has not been a great tenure. I mean, there's COVID on top of all the controversies. It's just been on lack of winning, just the whole Derek Carr stuff. It's just been kind of a lot of drama here for a team that really hasn't yielded much results. I know their value went up, right? They're worth more now that we got the public.
They're making money hand over fist. They just can't buy a win.
But with the Bears, I think it's, curses. I'm not going to use that. I'm not ridiculous. I mean, I'm hyperbolic, but I'm not ridiculous. I think, but anytime, and we've seen this with this team, that they go against what has made, and this isn't a small track record. This is 100+ years of football history, right? George Halas, Red Grange, Bobby Douglas, Gale Sayers, Walter Payton, Fridge, list goes on, right? Been around forever. And there's two things that win in Chicago, and it's always been that way, right? Two things, rushing and defense. And I don't know how that plays into the future of the NFL and if that is even a thing that can possibly happen. But every time they try to branch out and try something new or whatever the case may be, they just go against their own nature. You're not a part of this new NFL. So you need to set some trends and do it your own way and win your own way. Because the Jalen Hurts thing, the Patrick Mahomes thing, even the Justin Herbert thing, whatever you want to, like the stuff the Joe Burrow, whatever is happening in that situation. Because I'm going to tell you what, I don't think Caleb Williams is it. Soto, we can talk about that. I'm not saying he's not it for another team. He will get absolutely shredded in Chicago. Someone asked me on Twitter a couple weeks ago, it was after we lost to the Chiefs, what could have been, and they send a meme of Patrick Mahomes sitting next to the Bears on draft day, like 16 other teams, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, where do you think Mahomes would be if he got drafted by the Bears? And I said, he'd be selling insurance right now. Like,
you want to have Andy Reid.
It's
you wouldn't have Andy Reid.
It takes a lot, man. It takes a lot.
That?
It takes a lot, man. It takes a lot, and it like you said, it's a top down thing. Like, we were talking about this last weekend with the Raiders, and I was talking about Mark Davis and how his leadership style and McDaniel's leadership style is very similar, where they have a plan, but they don't really have a backup plan or an adjustment. They don't really adjust very well. They kind of stick to that same plan moving forward. And
what makes you believe that Josh McDaniels has a plan? Because I am not an insider with that team. I am very much a hater of that culture. Like, sort of, like, I very much appreciated Tom Brady, but everything that came out of Belichick and specifically McDaniels in his youth, and he was this golden child, and he's had opportunity after opportunity. He hasn't done shit with it. You know what I mean? He doesn't strike me as a particularly fun guy. Like, I don't think I'd share a beer with McDaniels. Not that that means anything. You know, I feel like I can hang out with Lovie Smith. I mean, there's people out there that you're like, you know what? I'd go want to win for that guy. What about Josh McDaniels says I want to go and win for that guy? Well, I'm just genuinely curious. What's the word?
What I mean, what his having a plan is, normally offensively, we're very successful early in games. Like, his script is very successful, but he doesn't adjust very well when the defense adjusts to him.
Gotcha.
And that's my big thing with him is he doesn't have, because I mean, I heard Peyton Manning say this, that the notion of a halftime adjustments, it's overblown, because you got to practice this stuff. You got to put it in the game plan, and you can use stuff that you've used before, but it has to be stuff that's already in your offense, you know? So I don't know how much forward thinking Josh McDaniels is to say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what defense can do against me. So I want to do this to give him a different look.
It's not that Josh McDaniels doesn't have a plan. It's that all he has is a plan and nothing else.
And that's all fair.
Here's my plan. I'm not going to motivate. I'm not going to deviate. I'm not going to like adjust for my talent. It's just like, this is what I do and nothing else.
What's Sean Payton without Drew Brees?
No,
What's Bill Belichick without Tom Brady? What are any of these coaches without their very best generational super? Because that's what we're talking about. When you talk about generational coaches, they always have a generational talent, and not just Drew Brees. If Peyton Manning, right, and maybe Aaron Rodgers don't exist, and Tom Brady, like, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. We just watched like the 4 or 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time just retire in like the last 5-10 years. Like, they were that good. And the records all prove that, right? But their coaches, Mike McCarthy, Sean Payton, Josh McDaniels to an extent. Now, Belichick, I want to be careful there, because the Giants, I mean, you talk about a lifelong coach. When you say, why would you play for him? I see that with Belichick. But as far as McDaniels,
Tom Brady didn't make Belichick's defense amazing for 20 years. Tom Brady didn't make Belichick's defenses amazing for 20 years, right? So like, there's something there. But it's always the same thing, right? There's been no winning culture, no dynasty in NFL history that didn't have a quality owner, head coach, quarterback. Yeah. That's right. It's those.
I mean, what's more impressive? All of Belichick's Super Bowls with Brady, or Joe Gibbs 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks?
Yeah, and that's great. That's a great question, right? Because what was it? Doug Williams, Mark Rippon, and
Joe Theismann, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's an eclectic group, right? Specifically Rippon. I think Rippon won the Super Bowl MVP off of that. That was right. That's one of my first Super Bowl memories.
Why didn't he have 4? Why don't they have 4 Super Bowls, Soda?
Oh, well.
I don't know. It's over in Black, Wild into town. Take care of business.
Marcus Allen?
Yeah.
That's when the team was about to beat up Pete Rozelle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always hold a soft spot for the Raiders. And I think so many people do, right? It's like, yeah, I'm not a Raiders fan, even living here in Las Vegas. I'm a Bears fan. I'll always be a Bears fan. But Al Davis and just being for the worker, because and not all the time, right? It's been plenty of contract issues and stadium stuff and all that. Like, loyalty can kind of get brought into question through that lens. But what you can't deny is that when people attacked his players, when he felt attacked, if he felt some sort of connection, he would go balls to the wall, throw up 2 double birds, and burn the house down. Like, I mean, he's one of the greatest owners of all time. You know what I mean? In terms of just what he did for black athletes. Like, so yeah, you're far, far away from that. And the Bears are far, far away from 1985. And here's the scary thing. We just keep seeming to drift further and further. Like Mitch Trubisky, what we traded up and what we gave away to get that, right? Khalil Mack, what we traded away and gave up to get that, which you then squandered, right? What we gave up.
We don't want to talk about. We don't like talking about.
Well, it doesn't even matter. It's almost poetic in that sense, right? I mean, what that way, like, it didn't work out for either of us.
Yeah, we both got worse because of it.
Who won the trade? Khalil. No one else.
Khalil got paid. I mean, Matt got paid. That's about it.
You need a trash drop crumpling up paper and throwing in the
because your heart's not tied to the Raiders. You have your finger on the pulse, more or less, being in Las Vegas. Are Raiders fans delusional when they say that the NFL is against us specifically? Like Roger Goodell and then traditionally owners have a very, very specific grudge or axe to grind with the Raiders. Are we crazy, or do you see that as well?
I think you're crazy.
Okay.
And I'll try to make sense of it this way. I understand why you're crazy. I understand mental illness. But I think it goes more to, and it's a nice segue from Al Davis, because I think it's the paranoia of growing up under Al Davis and when it actually did happen. Yeah. Right? Because I do think Tagliabue, I do think Rozelle, I do think there are times throughout history where like, or the emails just, but I don't know how, listen.
Of 750,000 emails, only 3 of them came out, and they were all John Gruden's? Okay.
Yeah, it's questionable, right?
It's even before that. Here's what wait a second, guys. Yeah. You want money for a stadium? Now we want to do that. Wait, Minnesota? You want money for a stadium? Have it all.
Yeah.
Take it. Whoa, what, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So there's a track record, right?
Than that.
I don't think there's any question, right, that like the Raiders are the redheaded stepchild of the NFL because of the brand and what goes along with it. Yeah. Everything that comes with that, you know what I mean, and I don't need to elaborate on it. And it's unfortunate, right? Because when I think of the Raiders, I think of Al Davis and his pimp suits and his ego and his narcissism, and I think of Jack Tatum. I think of Ronnie. I think of Bo Jackson. Out of everybody. I grew up during the late '80s, early '90s, and Bo. I remember the day he got injured. But my point is when I say I don't think they're necessarily out to get you. I don't think the NFL is in the business of ruining any of their franchises. The Raiders are one of the most valuable franchises to the NFL. They just are.
Not ruining, but no money for you Raiders, yes money to Vikings, things like that.
But why hurt a money train that is just careening in just unstoppable momentum?
It's not hurting the money. It's not hurting the money.
The thing is, they're still making money despite
all this losing and all this pain and all that.
No, because away fans
said that did hurt the Cubs.
Away fans
hurt the Cubs of 100. Yeah,
away fans will just keep buying tickets in Vegas. The more they lose, the higher the price, because then Raider fans don't sell them. Like if we're winning, right? Like, and that's the thing. Raiders fans got a bad rap in Las Vegas, but it's like when the games semi matter, when it's Chargers Raiders week 17 with a shot at the playoffs, that was a vibrant home field advantage. When we're kicked out of the playoffs by Halloween. Yeah, sorry, I have a mortgage to pay.
You get Niners Chiefs last year,
and these Steelers fans want to pay me 3x face value for my ticket. Like, absolutely sell that. Absolutely sell that.
I can make my money back in one game for my entire season of tickets. Sweet, I'll do that.
Yeah, and you've probably only had, because of that, 5 actual home field advantages when playing in Vegas.
We've had home field advantage one time this season. And it was in Los Angeles against the Chargers. That was the one time we had over 50% Raider fans in a stadium.
Isn't that so weird?
In Los Angeles. And even the home opener, night primetime game, it was like 60% Steelers.
Yeah.
We're only going to have 2 when we play the Chargers twice a year. That's when we're going to have a guaranteed home field advantage twice.
That's another team that's just in terms of culture. But it's the meeting is just so poetic. We've met each other a lot these last 5 years. 3 games, 4 games, whatever it is. It's been interesting, and it's been interesting with you guys to constantly check back in and kind of you do that history of last year and how excited I was, because I was. RJ, I was excited. I genuinely thought we were riding the ship.
We were texting week 18. What do you think you're going to get for the picks? What I
knew I would get a
Justin Fields one season better,
and it was better. It was better than I thought. We got more of a return, and we still have it, next season to look at that. But again, it's Caleb Williams, and the other QB they're talking about is the QB. I can't remember his name, out of North Carolina.
Drake May.
I swear to God. If the Bears draft another quarterback out of North Carolina, I'm going to lose my. That was Mitch Trubisky, and my whole thing was you wasted a blue chip pick on a guy who played at a basketball school. Due respect, North Carolina has gotten a lot better, but the North Carolina teams that Trubisky played on, they were not good. It's just
do you draft a quarterback?
Damaged human being.
Do you draft a quarterback, or just moving on?
I think Justin Fields is done in Chicago. I just think there's too much noise. I think there's too much dysfunction. I don't know if they ever truly believed in him. There's too many jobs on the line. Ryan Poles, GM, His job's on the line. He's going to need to do something drastic aside from sticking with Fields. I don't think sticking with Fields is going to extend your contract, and that's that you should be thinking about right now.
Think about the haul you can get though with Caleb and Drake 1 and 2, and the haul you could get for those two picks.
What can you? I don't know what you can get. What can you get more that we've already gotten? Like
3 first-rounders and like a Pro Bowl end for both.
Sure. Where's our quarterback? We're not winning.
Throw a million first-rounders at the problem.
I don't know where the winning starts. Right, winning starts
with 6 first-rounders. I mean, that's a good place.
Between the Bears and the Raiders, how many first-round picks and second-round picks and top picks do you think that we've had in the last 15 years? And what the fuck have they done?
That's why you just go with the Belichick model. Just do it in
the
volume.
Hard part is the hard part to swallow is, it wasn't like people were like, "Oh, I'm surprised that one didn't work out."
Right.
It was like it's a head scratcher from the beginning.
Mitch Trubisky, the name Trubisky. I heard it and I was like, who the fuck is that? And why is he my quarterback?
He does sound Chicago.
It sounds like a failure. Chicago. It sounds like the super fan sitting around the table with Farley and the dude from Cheers. And they're like, Trubisky.
Stop Bears.
They go.
Trubisky's going to throw for 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. It's a freaking joke, you guys. I'm losing my mind. Oh my God.
At least I know it's not just us.
Oh, now that's the sad thing about this. Normally we should meet and have some sort of like competitive rivalry. RJ and I made a bet last year, right? Like we should have this competitive spirit inside us to want to see the other sad, but that's not how we meet here on October, mid-October in 2023. That's not how we're meeting. We're meeting as sad pandas. We're just all sad across the Zoom, and we're just wallowing in each other's just misery.
Us Raiders are on a 2-game winning streak, and we are 500. Which is
and
that's
you seem
bragging.
Ecstatic about it. Yeah,
that's bragging for us in October, right?
Yeah. Good luck.
We still got to do a bet. We still got to do some kind of bet.
First of all, the last bet we did,
only 3-point favorites.
The last bet we did, I won, and we didn't, and there was no follow through on that. So you still owe me from that bet.
I emailed or texted you. When are we going to do it? And then you did not respond. So that's
I did.
We
did it, and then SiriusXM nixed it. Do you remember what I had you do? It was during the John Gruden racist email scandal. And I wrote a script for you to read that said, "Hey, this is RJ Clifford from SiriusXM. And I don't see what the big deal is about John Gruden in these emails. If I had a nickel for every time I sent a racist email, I'd have 35 cents. And I just went through this whole paragraph of you just like admitting to be a raging racist. And Kelly was like, "Yeah, no, he can't say this." I'm like, "But this is
that's not a Welch because I wanted to." And Kelly,
I know you did. You were all in. You were like, "This is great."
I fought hard to do it. Like I'd rather be viewed as a racist than as a Welcher. I think being a Welcher is one of the worst things you can be as a human being. Racist is really close. Welcher's number 1.
No one was gonna actually think that
quiet on all this.
Yeah.
And come on. It was clearly like a script I was reading losing a bet. Who's going to be like, "Oh, let's cancel RJ because he lost a bet."
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, we would have been.
This is the radio station that has Howard Stern. Like
Howard
RJ can write a Sibian. That's
Howard
fine.
Stern is not the same anymore. This is a different Howard Stern.
There's a lot of equity there, though. Yeah. Like we can still ride that wave of,
I could sit on a Sibian and I can keep my job. But if I read a script tongue in cheek, no, it's too much.
And if I had a nickel for every time I sent a racist email, I'd have 35 cents. Like, I'm sorry, that's fucking funny. It's just very specific. You know what I mean? It's 7 racist emails. Add up 730. Yeah. Anyway.
Got it.
New math. So
I don't really want to bet. I don't feel. I mean, we can, but it's going to be very small. It'll be like a singular drink at Ellis Island.
No, let's just do the same thing we did last year, but just let it be arable. Just you get.
No, I won last year, and I still want mine. So we can start like a tab, and you fit.
Take that up with Kelly. Take that up with the producer. I showed up.
Kelly has nothing to do with this.
She's the one that nixed it. Of course, she had everything to do with it. Our producer.
Listen, we can make a bet, but I'm not fulfilling my end of the bet until you fulfill your end of the bet from last year.
Fair.
So yes,
that's fair.
I fulfilled my end of the bet. I showed up willing and able.
We're not doing that. No, then I don't agree to bet you this year.
And then the referee called it early. It was an early stoppage.
No, not getting doped into this. No way.
All right. Let's see.
I agree with Big Mac on this.
Shocking.
It has to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
You don't get paid for the attempt.
Yeah.
You get paid for completion.
Yeah. It was a block. It was a stoppage. It was a brief stoppage. Then we restart the action. It was a nut shot.
Technically, sometimes you do pay and don't get the completion because you pay first. So technically, the rules apply my way.
Soto goes, oh man,
freaking cops over and freaking flashing the light in the window. Like, wait a second, man.
Clearly, it was a lady cop. She doesn't understand.
I hear the Homer Simpson scream with the tongue out. Yeah.
His name's Ryan McKinnell. Make sure you follow him on the Twitter machine at Ryan McKinnell.
Yeah,
or don't do it. Don't. If you care about listening to someone complain about you want to hear just pure emotional vitriol during any Raider game. Let's say from 10 a.m. to 1:13 ish this Sunday morning. Coming up. That's what you want to hear. Big Mac, always a pleasure, buddy.
Man, I like it. I wish it was under better circumstances, but we can heal together. And Soto, it was awesome seeing you, man. RJ, I'll see you soon. And yeah, Autumn Windbags Nation out there, I appreciate you letting me hang out with you for a brief moment. And good luck this weekend, man. I don't know who needs it more.
Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.